Hi there, welcome to learning about wood defects. We are going to be filling out this sheet. The purpose of this is to learn about the different types of defects and defects that can be found in wood that you need to be aware of when you're starting to work with wood. So in order for you to get a stamp on this part of your bingo sheet, you're going to have to fill out this form or the sheet. You'll get that from me. And it has a few arrows here pointing to the different defects, and you have to write the name in there, okay, of these defects. On the back there are some other types of defects that are called warps, and we're going to go over those in a second. So on the front here, it's pointing to an area where there's bark on the edge of the board, just like this piece of wood here has some bark on the edge. Once that bark falls off, that will be a part of the board that is incomplete, and that's called a waned edge. It's spelled W-A-N-E. The next one shows these little spots that you see in the wood a lot, and those are called knots, K-N-O-T. And that's where a branch used to be. That's also a defect. There are, showing on this picture, there's a split in the end of the board, and you can look at that. Often on the ends of the board you'll find a place where it dries a little quicker than the rest of the board, and it'll split open. You have to be aware of that when you're building. The next one here, I don't have a good example of that in a piece of wood right here with me while I'm doing the video, but there's sometimes places where there's sap and pitch that gets left in the wood and it's not solid wood. You have to be aware of that. Holes is another type of defect you have to be aware of. Maybe insects have chewed through, or there are marks from a machine when it was being run through the sawmill. Right on the back side of this paper, so you're going to fill those four in. The back side of the paper, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 types of warps. Warps happen when the wood dries. When the tree gets cut down, it's wet, and when it dries, it can change shape when the cells lose their moisture. Up here, you can see this type of warp. So we've got here, types of defects are called warps. They happen when the moisture content of the wood changes. This warp right here is called a bow. That's when it goes across the face. It's kind of shaped like a bow and arrow. And the next one here is where it's kind of warping in the opposite direction along the edge like this. That's called a crook. The next one is where the whole board is twisting. It dries in a twist like this, and that is called a twist. This one here shows that it's bending right at a knot or another defect, straight on both ends with a bend right there, is called a kink. And this one, where the board is actually curving across the board, is called a cup. And I have one here that has a bit of a cup on it. Oh, I thought I did. Where's that board? Anyhow, that's where across the end, where the end grain is, like where the tree, this is growing up the tree this way. When it's cupped this direction, when it's warped like that, it's called a cup. So fill that in, hand it in, you'll get that spot on your bingo sheet.